I wasn't ready. No, I'm joking.
He said, "Fuck, fuck, fuck, no, no, no!
You have
Like
caught me
that's
at a disadvantage.
impossible."
It's very possible. It's very possible indeed. That's what I say. That's what I say. It is a surprise stream tonight, and it's very late, and I'm gonna fall asleep midstream.
He said, "I'm gonna fall asleep at my keyboard. That's the strategy."
I'll do it too. Watch me. Earlier when you like showed the the video, it was like an hour and 30 minutes long, and you're like, we're gonna do like two or three of these. I was just like, man, you and maybe chat are, but me, I'm gonna be asleep, man. I got like 1 hour, 1 hour and 10 minutes best, maybe maybe 2 hours. Are you trying to do this for 2 hours tonight, or just however long we get these
However
done?
long we can. Feels good.
Okay, okay. So on that note, go ahead and you can go ahead and update chat what we're doing tonight. We're doing something kind of different tonight.
1 second. Oh,
I'm drinking wine, so I'm busy. I don't even know what we're doing tonight. I'll put it to you that way, Chad. It's so magnificent. It's so glorious. It's genius work, really.
doing tonight, shit.
Chat, I've been Monday today. What about you? And tomorrow I'm gonna get Tuesday. Oh, I'm watching you, Aaron. I'm watching you
Always
live on
watching.
Kick. I'm watching you live on Kick. I got you. I got you right here. You smelly man, you. But look at that shirt he's wearing. What kind of shirt is that even? Oh, that's the mystery machine shirt.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
that shirt's pretty cool, but look at it. Who wears a mystery machine shirt this late at night? What a wild guy Aaron is. Uh, we're where else are we?
Okay.
We're on Twitch and then YouTube. Okay, I'm
Oh
pulling us
yeah.
up on there too.
3 platforms. We're live. Any way you want it. It's not Burger King, but you can still have it your way, people.
That's what we used to say all the time at our place of work. It's not Burger King, but you can still have it your way, man. You know what? Why not? Why not?
All right.
Okay.
So tonight it is chat's choice on what we're doing. But seeing as how there'd be no choice in the chat, uh, we're starting getting the ball rolling with some deep dives into Fallout lore. We're gonna just kind of see some of the interesting parallels and scary possibilities of things that like almost could be like real life. And my buddy here that's joining me for this evening, Diego, he's never experienced anything like this from the Fallout universe. So this is all going to be fresh to him. It's going to be some really interesting stuff for him.
Yeah, no, I've always told him you should really make content around things that you like that other people like, because I, for some reason, had this ability of living under a rock, you see. And so somehow I've been able to live my somewhat meaningful life in such a way where I've been able to dip and dodge all of these very interesting lores and Fallout. I've only ever played like one Fallout game, and that was Fallout 4. I've actually never mind. I've played Fallout 3, but I haven't finished it. And but Fallout 4 is pretty cool. So, but Aaron's always telling me about wacky lore going on here and there, and so here we are. Now we're actually gonna dive into it.
All right. All right. Well, uh, without further ado, let's do this.
The vaults of Fallout are one of the series' most iconic features. Huge underground shelters built and marketed by...
Wait. You're telling me that there are vaults?
Man. I would have never believed you if you told me that people would make underground bunkers to fucking stay away from the spooky shit.
by the Vault Tech Corporation as a way for America to ride out a nuclear war in safety and comfort. While on the surface, Vault-Tec had the appearance of a squeaky clean company, its cheerful Vault Boy mascot and the hopeful marketing they pushed on the American public before the Great War was nothing but an elaborate smokescreen. By the late 2050s, the writing was on the wall. Full-scale atomic war was becoming a real possibility, and certain parts of the United States government and military-industrial complex began workshopping solutions. What they settled on was Project Safe House, a series of bunkers for the government and civilian population to ensure America's survival. The Vault-Tec Corporation won the bid, but before they began construction, their leadership was taken aside by their new employers. The truth of the matter was that the cash-strapped government simply didn't have the money or resources to house hundreds of millions of American citizens, but they did have the means to adjust the parameters of Vault-Tec's contract. These government contacts instead intended the vaults to be used as a grand staging ground for twisted and often deadly social and technological experimentation in the cramped, claustrophobic confines of their tunnels. The morally bankrupt leadership at Vault-Tec leapt at the opportunity.
See, I'm just like, but who's to say who all from the government actually gets to make it in these vaults? I don't know. There's too many questions around that.
Do you think something like this, because like you and me talk about this sometimes when we're at work and whatnot, but we don't ever get to get too deep into it. But I want to ask you, do you think something like this is a far-fetched? Do you think it's kind of possible, like in real life, if you will?
I mean, I think people already build secret bunkers. You know? So it's like,
but like something like that organized and that like massive, like on a global scale, where it's like, oh yeah, people signed up, you knew about it, we all heard about it. Like, as far as like, kind of like how Voltec is an actual company, you think that would be something that would happen someday?
I don't know. I could definitely see the need for something like that if we actually had problems that were that
I'm gonna
serious.
be real.
I could honestly see us needing to take measures like that where we need some kind of facilities to survive something like that. Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with you, bro. When I first played Fallout 4, and now I believe that was like the first game that I actually got to like play through the entire thing. And when I played that beginning part where you're signing up for the vault and everything, I thought to myself, I was like, man, and this was back, I think I was in high school at the time or a little after high school. And I thought to myself, man, I would really want this to be an option if we were that on the brinks of nuclear war, man. I'd be like, yeah, bro, put me in a vault. What you mean?
It's like yeah,
I don't want to be left out.
What do you mean? Put me in it.
Like you mean I have to sign up? You mean I'm like, bro? You should have had me there from the get-go, all right? Like,
that's the problem with this
fuck.
shit. It's like such a small percentage of the population. I think they mention it. It's either like less than 5 or like less than 1% of the whole population of the U.S. Like,
right.
so it's
and
just
so
like.
I used to look at this stuff like, man, this is honestly a great idea. And then as you play the game, I guess wonder like what went wrong, and only later, once you're grown up and you have a frontal lobe, you start to realize, oh, that could also be corrupt, you know? Like it would still have its pros and cons, as like anything. That's 4
Then
vaults
you
right
got
there
that
right in front of
problem.
us.
Then it's
That's
like
crazy.
that aspect, that scary aspect that it's like you could be looking at the possibility of you and only maybe 1 or 2 people that you know, like really close, that would actually make it into the vault, and then no one else that you. I'm not sure how I would feel about that. I'm not sure I'm down
Could
for
you
that,
imagine?
G.
Man.
I might have
No,
to
I'm
stand
not, man.
outside the vault with the homies, you know?
God, do you think about life in post-apocalyptic sense, like what it'd be like, or what you do, or stuff like that? I think about it quite a bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not like a whole lot, but I think about it sometimes.
I've thought about it, and the most I think is like, man, it just would suck so bad.
I'd be like, bro, what would have I had to have done to somehow survive that entire shenanigans, survive the biggest shit hitting the fan, and still somehow being around to witness the aftermath? Like, how?
Bro, it's gonna suck worse than anything that's ever sucked before.
On gang, bro. Like, honestly, because that'd be so scary. It'd be so whack. And then you definitely have no excuses, bro. You'd have to work out. Finally.
Right. He said there would be no choice. There would be no option. What do you mean?
Now I have
I'm the
to be
peak.
fit.
Aren't you saying? What are you saying, Diego? This is the peak male condition, right here.
In all its glory. Bask in it, chat. Breathe it in.
You know what I'm saying? Peak male condition.
Peak male condition, bro. That's what we're here about. That's what we're discussing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's go.
And began revising their construction and administration plans. 122 public vaults had been built by the time the bombs dropped in 2077, and of that number, only 17 were designed for their advertised purpose, to protect their inhabitants. The other 105 had terrible trials in store for them, both those insisted upon by the shadowy government insiders the company had grown so close to.
See, bro, a vault sounds fucking real good until you find out you're in one of these vaults.
I knew
like,
they were an experiment, and I knew that it was like, you know, oh yeah, some of them are experimented and then the rest of them are actually there. I didn't know it was that bad. That's like disgraceful, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you mean only 17 of them actually got lucky?
Yeah, bro.
As well as some suggested by Vault-Tec itself. Many of these experimental vaults were lost to time, with nothing being known of their status, purpose, or existence, but there are a few of which Wastelanders know a great deal. These dark, rusted shells blight the wasteland wherever they lurk, the memory of the cruel experiments carried out within still discussed in whispers among those brave enough to explore them.
You doing good tonight,
This list covers all the known vaults designed with experimentation in mind, as well as their inevitable, often deadly fates. Out of all Vault-Tec's offerings, 4 was unique, as its experiment was advertised to the public before its sealing. The shelter would be run by accomplished scientists, who would have total control over the civilian population living alongside them. As one might expect, when confronted with no consequences for their actions or overreach, the genetic experiments being performed became increasingly sinister and depraved, with human testing becoming the norm, resulting in the birth of abominations that began to fill the lab's cryostasis wing. They even went as far as abducting Wastelanders to use in their work until the community of volunteers around them finally had enough. Rising up against the scientists, the Dwellers unleashed their own test subjects against them, the mutated creatures slaughtering the staff that had once ruled over the vault. Following that violent escapade, 4 became a beacon of hope for the wasteland.
Yeah, bro. That's what happens in
season
they had
1
a
of
mini
the show. They had a little revolution going on in there, bro.
Yeah, bro. A straight up like rebel uprising. Yes.
Inside a vault underneath dirt, dog. Like underneath the ground. That's insane. Yeah. It's just some things never change, huh?
Yep.
That's bonkers. Did you know about this? Bro, no, like honestly, did you know about this, chat? Honestly, tell me. This is crazy. This is bonkers. I didn't know it went this deep.
Right.
Offering aid and shelter for anyone willing to integrate into their society, however strange they may be. As a result, the population of 4 has become a strange bunch indeed, filled with refugees, mutants, and malcontents, all eager to find a vault that doesn't want them dead. A twisted parody of the United States democratic traditions, Vault 11 was built around the concept of sacrifice. When the residents filed in at the start of the war, the experiment was revealed to them. Every year, they would have to select one of their number to be a sacrifice. They would enter a special chamber buried deep below the Overseer's office, where they would be killed by the vault. If the dwellers failed to send someone into the chamber, the vault's systems would instead kill them all. Enraged that they hadn't been notified of this little wrinkle by Vault-Tec, they ended up forcing the company-appointed Overseer into the chamber first, making him the first sacrifice. As the years dragged on, it became tradition for the position of Overseer to be sacrificed at the end of their yearly term, and a strange voting system emerged. Political blocs would compete to nominate the most hated residents for Overseer, with cutthroat campaigns dooming them to death. These blocs gained more and more power until an Overseer finally attempted to end the practice, insisting that a random lottery would be more fair. Terrified of losing their power, the blocs rebelled, and the ensuing chaos decimated the vault's population. By the time the fighting had subsided, only 5 dwellers remained alive. They bravely marched up to the vault computer and declared that the sacrifices would finally stop. To their horror, they were greeted by a cheery automated message, congratulating them on their commitment to morality. There was no revenge enacted upon them by the vault, no need for further sacrifice, nothing. They had been killing their own for nothing. As the computer praised their team spirit while unsealing the blast doors, 4 of the 5 took their own lives, unable to live with the guilt of what they'd done. The last fled into the wastes, determined to spread the grim tale of Vault 11 and the cruelty of the company that created it. Buried...
Bro, what do you think about
deep, bro. That was
it's like
deep,
it's like just
bro.
when you think it's like bad, it's get worse and worse and worse, and it's just like, wow,
Bro,
it can't possibly
really
get worse than that.
They're like messing with people's lives, and then in the end, they're just like, "Damn, dude, that was crazy. You got a good job. Good job. You get an A+.
All just to
We're
see,
still gonna kill you."
what the people would do, and then just to tell them at the end, yep, we actually would have let you all live if you had decided to go with the morally correct option, or what we would perceive as, yeah.
You see, that's the thing. I'm like, man, but like, why? Why do you guys want to know these things? Why do you guys feel the need to like fucking figure out what people are trying to do or what they would do? That's so messed up.
Right.
That's so crazy.
Right.
You go through
and tell me this.
this out.
What exactly does that tell you? To me, it just sounds like some kind of twisted game for somebody,
It sounds like some sociopaths basically just like, what happens if we do this, man? Oh shit, they start fighting, they start killing each other, but they try to like not do that, and that's crazy, man. It's like at the end there, that computer, I would have shot the computer, bro. I would have just put a bullet in it. I was just like, no, how dare you? Honestly, shout out to the fucking dwellers that decided to escape and spread the word of these atrocities, because like that's pretty brave stuff right there. To like,
there wasn't.
It's
it was
honestly
just one guy.
It was just one guy. Oh, I thought it was more than one guy. Damn.
He said the other 4 that lived at the end shot themselves in response to finding out what happened.
That's right. It was just one dude who made it out.
Yeah, he just left.
Oh,
he shot himself in Minecraft, by the way. That did not, you know what I'm saying?
No, bro, that's fucking crazy. God, that dude has fucking some serious PTSD. Poor guy.
Yeah, bro. The poor fella.
That's insane. The PTSD is strong over here, chat.
All right, let's see what happened at Vault 12.
Below the city of
Fucking
Bakersfield, Vault 12 was advertised as...
Can I get a fuck Vault-Tec in the chat?
...one of the most secure and well-protected of all Vault-Tec offerings, but ironically, was one of the least. The structure was built without any form of radiation shielding, and the famous gear-shaped blast door was unable to be fully closed. As a result, the hapless residents of 12 were bombarded by steady waves of radiation, sickening and killing many of them. The rest were transformed into ghouls, who less than 5 years after the war escaped the doomed project, founding the ghoul city of Necropolis on its glowing bones. By 2161, the vault only had one functioning piece of hardware, a water chip for the city's purifiers, enabling the city of the dead to survive, if not thrive, in the wasteland. A more forgiving experiment enabled the...
Bro. No, that's still not okay either. What the fuck?
Wait, I'm sorry. I was checking a stream or something. What did he say?
Okay, hold on. We'll run it back. Chat wasn't paying attention either. Here we go.
Project found ghouls who sickening and the hapless resident-shaped blast door structure with Vault Tech 12 was advertised as one of the most secure and well-protected of all Vault Tech offerings, but ironically was one of the least. The structure was built without any form of radiation shielding, and the famous gear-shaped blast door was unable to be fully closed. As a result, the hapless residents of 12 were bombarded by steady waves of radiation, sickening and killing many of them. The rest were transformed into ghouls, who less than 5 years after the war escaped the doomed project, founding the ghoul city of Necropolis on its glowing bones. By 2161, the vault only had one functioning piece of hardware, a water chip for the city's purifiers, enabling the city of the dead to survive, if not thrive, in the wasteland. A more forgiving experiment enabled the survival of Vault.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, right.
That is messed up. So those ghouls that you see, it's like some of those people were basically a product of some of those experiments.
Yeah. They're all ghouls are technically like directly affected by FEV in some way, shape, or form, essentially, and that's how you like get a ghoul FEV plus radiation.
Oh, dang. Okay, so by the way, I'm gonna say right now, I went to translate our chatter on YouTube, and I got you what he said. He says apparently this is what he says is unfortunately I have to go to sleep. Otherwise, I would have liked to take the time to keep you company. So appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Thank you.
Oh yeah, seriously, we appreciate you.
I don't. Oh, it's German. It's German.
I knew it was. I was like, dang, I just don't know. I was like, I only know a few of those words. Dang.
Here, I got you.
I'll have to see if there's like a way we can work that out, if we can make that better.
I'm about to respond to them from my channel. If you see the curly hair profile pic, that is me, my dude. Thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you so much.
Let me initial it. I'm gonna put Team Coyote. Oh, here you go. I'll do that too. I'll put have a good night as well. That's insane. We got a viewer from Germany.
Wow. Amazing.
I love doing this. I love typing German in my keyboard. I never thought I'd do this.
Ready to hear about Vault 15, brother?
Okay, I just responded to them. I am now ready to learn about Vault 15.
15, with its population being sourced from radically different ideologies. Anarchists, communists, fascists, hippies, separatists, survivalists, and pacifists all called 15 their home. Despite the difficulties of living...
You mean like... That's how the world works, I think.
I was like, wow. You build it and they will show up, especially when they're vaults to try and protect you from nuclear warfare.
Crazy.
Living with their polar opposites, the dwellers managed to keep themselves from tearing each other apart until they finally had enough, spilling out of the vault only a single generation after its sealing. The denizens of Vault 15 would go on to form the Great Khans, Jackals, and Vipers, 3 powerful raider gangs that would terrorize the region for years, as well as a smaller group which founded the town of Shady Sands using the vault's GEC, creating the basis of what would become the new California Republic. The facility itself would fall into disrepair, picked over by scavengers and wildlife before partially collapsing, burying whatever valuables might still be left in its depths. Not much is known about the ultimate fate of Vault 19, but the nature of its experiment can still be gleaned from the diaries and terminal entries of its residents, as well as the unusual layout of the facility itself. Divided into 2 identical sections, the red and blue halves of the vault were each led by their own overseers, who were given the task of inducing paranoia in the dwellers under their care. By engineering small but persistent malfunctions and fluctuations in the vault's systems, they caused the population to become suspicious of not only the other side, with reds and blues keeping to their own, but even within their own families and social circles. Strange gusts of wind from the ventilation system, the hallway lights blinking like some sort of code, and strange, high-pitched noises all drove the residents slowly mad. By 2281, the vault had been long abandoned with no signs of violence or a struggle, leading many to speculate on the final consequence of the constant gaslighting of the citizens of 19. Still, it's an out-of-the-way hidey hole with power and water intact, and that's been enough to attract a group of escaped convicts looking to lay low. Who's to say if these new inhabitants will fall prey to the same paranoia that doomed those who came before? Vault 21 was located under Las Vegas.
Bro. So, like, just, it's like one of those things where it's like, bro, how easy would it be for someone to, or for any of that to happen, really, with what we already have in place, you know?
Yeah, they
Just
even went ahead and,
music
like, fucking...
Everything else around us. Kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
Wild to think
How it
about.
all added up to them and boiled up. The fucking lore's pretty crazy. Actually, this kind of makes Fallout a lot more interesting to me now that I think about it. It's like I never thought about the Raiders actually just being fucking vault dwellers. You know, it's like, oh duh. They'd have to survive the fucking blast somehow.
His main strip, and was one of the few experimental vaults that actually succeeded in protecting its residents over the long haul thanks to its relatively tame experiment. Instead of having the usual overseer-staff-dweller hierarchy in place, every decision and conflict would be resolved through gambling. The complex was equipped with a wide variety of casino games, with blackjack and roulette proving most popular amongst its residents. Naturally, this cultivated an obsession with luck and chance amongst the vault's population, and when they were finally contacted by the strip's de facto overlord, Mr. House, with an offer to purchase the vault, they put it up to chance. A high-stakes game of blackjack followed, and with a very risky move finally ending the exhausting hours-long game, those willing to sell had come out on top. Fearing anyone having access to the underbelly of his city, Mr. House proceeded to fill the lower levels of 21 with concrete, forcing the residents out and across the wasteland. Only the very top level of the vault was preserved, transformed into the Vault 21 hotel and gift shop, an undignified end for such an advanced bit of technology, but undoubtedly popular with tourists visiting the south side of the strip. Built on...
Man. Okay, but you'd have to have, like, the ultimate luck imaginable to have been in Vegas at the time of this happening, and then to have also been in the vault when it got sealed. Now that's Vegas. That is some premium luck right there. That is crazy.
All I know is if I would have been in that world, I would have sucked, bro. I would have not made it. I don't gamble very much, and when I do, it bites me in the ass. So...
Bro, I would have been like, we have to learn blackjack, bro. We can't rely on the slots. We'll die.
You've talked about it before, and you've pondered it. I know you want to do a Vegas trip one day, and I was just like, man, we're gonna do something terrible. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, something's gonna happen. I can feel it in my nuggets, man. I can feel it in my nuggets chat. It's not good.
So
I
this
love it.
is Vaults 31, 32, and 33, which were also featured in one of the show.
This is
Right here.
he does a pretty good job at this. Have you watched this full video before? Did you know about this?
I have watched a different one. I watched
Nah.
like in the background. I listened to the way longer one that I scared you with.
Oh. I guess in hindsight, we should go watch that one at some point, sometime. This
I think it would be cool. I had a feeling that after like a first go around with it, you'd be like, "All right, we can do this some other time. We can save this for a good another night."
And I mean, I don't know about you, chat. I don't know about you, Aaron, but I really like this stream format, man. I've been enjoying it. This is so laid back. We're just watching a video, and this is the easiest stream I've ever done, so I appreciate it.
Under Santa Monica, LA, the three vaults were a series of interconnected communities supposedly designed to promote cooperation and unity amongst the traditionally isolated vault societies. With this uncommon configuration first appearing in Season 1 of the Fallout TV show, it's unknown how many other vaults share this innovative layout. Trading resources, ideas, and people, these three communities would ensure that each vault could rely on each other in times of hardship. In reality, Vaults 33 and 32 were designed as nothing more than a support system for 31, breeding stock to fulfill the dream of its overseer, Bud Askins. Kept alive for hundreds of years in a custom RoboBrain chassis, the Vault-Tec executive exercised control over the other two vaults using the population of 31, hundreds of company managers frozen in cryostasis, ready to be inserted into the other vaults' populations as necessary, disguised as transfers from the supposedly normal Vault 31. These managers would interbreed with 33 and 32 while influencing their societies, bending them subtly to Askin's will.
That's gross.
Eventually, Bud hoped his work would be complete, and the entire population would be transformed into the perfect corporate managers ready to go out and inherit the world his company helped ruin. Eventually, Vault 32 uncovered this deception and descended into civil war, with some supporting Bud's mission and others.
Bro, I'm just like, what do you mean though? Like, rebuild the perfect world with management? It's like, what are they gonna do, bro? There's nothing for them to do, bro.
Yeah,
what are you
those
talking
are
about?
buzzwords for me, man. Because honestly, when you think about it, shit like this already happens in the world. This is literally as simple as just humans taking advantage of other humans and like just kind of exploiting them. Like that dude just wants his genetics out and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna reproduce. I want everyone to be kind of like me, so we're just gonna swipe them from these other two volts. That's so gnarly. That's gross, honestly.
Yeah, that's just wild.
Resenting their nature as unwitting test subjects, wanting to take control of the vault for their own sakes. The bloody conflict decimated the vault's population, with the survivors attempting to cut through the doors into 33 in a vain attempt to warn them of 31's deception. They all perished as the vault systems collapsed. Following an assault by raiders using the empty 32 as a staging ground, Vault 33 is bloodied but still on its feet, racked by internal tensions and with a smashed water chip. The clock is ticking if any of the three vaults wish to survive, and the future is grim. Vault 34, located in the Mojave Wasteland east of New Vegas, had little direct meddling with its population after the doors closed. They didn't release gas into the halls, nor did they transform it into some gruesome slaughterhouse. Instead, everything wrong with 34 was built into its very foundations. The vault was purposely overpopulated with very few private living spaces, unable to support the increased numbers. The armory was also drastically expanded and disconnected from the vault's standard security systems, meaning that the overcrowded population would have easy access to a stockpile of military-grade weapons and ammunition. Inevitably, the tight living situation began to worsen as the already cramped complex was filled with more dwellers born in the vault, and the population began to divide into factions. Some wanted to enforce population control, limiting who in the vault could—
Bro, that's not a test. That's just... Bro, let's just
this is to
wait
get a
and
vote,
see how
bro.
long...
This is
Right. Like, let's just wait and
the
see
ghetto
how
vault.
long it takes for them to go ahead and kill themselves. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
I mean, this is just another Game of Thrones scenario right here because people are just trying to. It's scary. This one's actually scary because essentially people are going to fight for control here. And so this one's going to be a bloodbath, but I think this one is indeed the fucking ghetto vault.
The
You're
ghetto
in the
of the
ghetto
vaults.
permanently, bro. No, yeah, you just got to watch out, you know.
Ghettoed.
It just sounds to me, like everyone's like kind of free for all and weapons are accessible to everyone. So, that's the place where you definitely would want to have a weapon on you just in case. Because you're like, bro, I don't know. People be shady.
Yep.
People be shady.
Facts.
Would reproduce,
That
and
honestly
others
would probably be one of the
violently
worst ones to
opposed
be at.
Yeah. Yeah.
the idea. Sensing trouble brewing, the overseer locked the armory, denying weaponry to anyone but the certified security staff.
Oh
Enraged
yeah, that's a fucking good idea. Take away their guns? No. These are Americans. No.
by this infringement of
can't.
their right to access their recreational miniguns, a group of rioters stormed through the vault, stealing any loose weapons and fighting their way through security and out into the
Yes,
wasteland,
sir.
with the door quickly being sealed behind
Big
them.
dick and balls.
As fighting
bro.
raged around the entrance, another group stormed the armory itself. Although unsuccessful, they managed
Hell yeah,
to
we got
damage a
6
good
watching on
chunk of the
YouTube.
vault,
Shout out
including
to
the
you
computer
guys.
system and the main reactor, which began to
Yeah.
leak radiation through the now compromised pipes.
Shout out to
As the
her,
engineering
buddy.
teams in the vault scrambled to repair the
Damn,
damage,
one of them left
the
as soon as I
overseer
said
made
that.
the horrifying discovery that the controls for the vault door had malfunctioned after its second sealing, trapping the dwellers inside with their decaying reactor. The last fragmented entries left by the overseer are grim indeed. The reactor cannot be fixed, the pipes are flooding the lower levels, and the doors won't budge. All they can do is wait and pray.
No.
Pray that someone comes along and opens the door from the outside. Someone to rescue Vault 34 before it's too late, even as their hair falls out and their minds begin to fail. Vault 51 was built into the Apple.
That one.
That's so sad.
That one might take the cake as like one of the gnarliest vaults. Like, bro.
So they just
imagine
had,
sitting
like-
there,
they just had, like-
watching each other lose their minds. Like, imagine being like the last person sane. You know? Because that's what happens. Is you just
so-
slowly start losing yourself. You know?
So they just had shit go wrong in there or something, and then they just got exposed to all them chemicals or something.
Yeah. Their main reactor just started leaking, and then the door sealed itself shut. Like, it just broke. So.
That's the most unfortunate event could have happened. That's scary.
Yep.
That's low key kind of scary.
It's like, what?
Now I'm not
That's
sure how.
trash.
I don't know how I feel about these vaults anymore.
Yeah, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so funny. At the very beginning, you were like, bro, all I'm saying is it would probably be pretty cool to be able to go into a vault and not get nuked. And now you're sitting there like, man, these suck.
That last vault kind of traumatized me a little. I'm like, oh, that suck, bro. Yeah, that'd be bad. Watching
Yeah.
everybody go insane, and like you said, if you're the last one, bro, man, I just pray to God it'd just be over soon or something, you know?
Yeah.
That's wacky, bro. That's wacky. I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
He's going to be up all night thinking, bro, I can't go into one of these vaults.
Appalachian Hills and
I just
governed by an
can't do
AI mainframe going by the designation ZAX. ZAX's mission was to ultimately determine the best way for a community to select its leader, and soon after the facility's sealing, the dwellers held an election. Then another, then another. It seemed like no one could agree on who would be the best overseer, and tensions began to rise. It was then when Zax's assistant,
I
Robert
would be the
Baker,
best
mentioned that
overseer.
true leaders step up in times of crises, that things really started to go downhill.
I would be
Taking
the
this to
best
its silicon
overseer.
heart, Zax began to engineer crises at ever-increasing intensities, looking to test Baker's hypothesis and create the ultimate leader. This trial-by-fire process ended up tearing the vault apart with manufactured food shortages, constant blaring alarms interrupting sleep, and personal grudges inflamed, ultimately pitting dweller against dweller. By the time the residents of Vault
Rough.
76 made it there, the computer had the answer to who would step up in times of crises, who could weather the storm, and finally lead the community. the only one left alive, Zax, a lone robotic leader overseeing a vault of the dead. Vaults 68 and 69.
Aww, bro. Yeah, fuck that. That's lame. What a lame way for the vault to end like that, you know?
What a lonely robot now. The lonely, lonely robot who has no one to rule.
Alright. Vault 68 and 69. You ready?
Live in the collective imagination of many wastelanders, achieving almost mythic proportions and with some willing to do almost anything to access them. This is for one simple reason: complete gender imbalance. Vault 69 was filled with 1,000 women and only a single man, and 68 with 1,000 men and one lone woman. Whether one longs to be the subject of that much attention or dreads the idea, it's certainly an experiment with a bizarre, if not cruel, scope. Vault 7.
That's crazy.
That's one. It's
so
like, bro.
Messed up.
Yeah, it's like, bro. I don't even want to think of the possible implications
wild.
of something like that on either end. It's like, bro, neither of these things sound great.
So wild.
It's like, that sounds terrible. That sounds awful.
That sounds so rough.
No, baby.
Why are these so creative?
Baby.
Why are these all bad in like a different way?
And
they're
also,
always just bad.
My one question I still want to know, is what any of these experiments tell you? Like, what is their purpose?
What's the purpose of these? These are just humans fucking on one another. Like I just feel like some goony rich people got together and they're just like, one of them is just going to be a dude in there and everyone else is going to be girls and women. And then we're going to have another one where it's just going to be the opposite. It's just kind of, it's scary, but honestly, I mean, it's not that far-fetched if you ask me. It's like, this world can be pretty fucked up, but hey.
Right.
That's just wild, man. That's wild. The creators at Bethesda really nailed some interesting shit with Fallout.
For real.
5 brought the already black morals of Vault-Tec to a new low. Built underneath Malden Middle School, on the outskirts of Boston, 75 was advertised heavily to the children of the school and their families, and when the bombs dropped, they were easily filled to capacity. As the new dwellers entered, the children were separated from their parents, the former heading deeper into the vault, and the latter staying behind for an orientation. Behind soundproof walls, the families of the true intended residents were gunned down by the security detail before being tossed into the incinerators. For this experiment, they needed only young subjects. The experiment at this vault was designed to, through extensive physical training, genetic and hormonal manipulation, and selective breeding, create perfect physical specimens out of the vault's children. Believing nothing was amiss, the students trusted their taskmasters completely, undergoing a grueling training regimen and indoctrination before finally graduating. They thought they would be released into the wasteland, ready to do good on their 18th birthdays. Instead, lackluster subjects were simply killed through a lethal injection disguised as a vaccine, and incinerated, exceptional candidates were torn apart for their genetic material, and the lucky few who showed intelligence but no physical skills were offered a position on the science team running the experiments. The best of the best's genetic material was then recycled, used to create a new generation of super babies destined to grow up and die in Vault-Tec's endless pursuit of perfection. It's not known exactly how the vault came to be abandoned, but a wily scavenger able to fight through the gunners squatting there may be able to get a hint. According to some of the facility's terminal entries, the test subjects eventually learned of their fate and plotted an uprising against their jailers. One can only hope they succeeded and gained the freedom they were promised, but either way, the savage cycle of Vault 75 was finally broken for good.
Bro, see, that's just a classic example of, like, the more and more you hear about the vault, it just gets worse and worse as you keep listening. Like, oh my god, I hate that. It's so
I'm like,
bad.
those were children too, dude. They like revolted, but they were all children. Imagine. That's just crazy, dude. I mean, fresh 18-year-olds too, but nonetheless, that's a lot of young people to deal with that. That's crazy.
Man. Entertain chat for a second. On that note, I gotta grab some alcohol.
Yeah, I hear ya. I've sipped plenty of alcohol tonight. Not that much, actually. It was like 2 shots maybe. It's just like a Moscow Mule type of thing going on. But that's what I got going on tonight. I gotta say, this is pretty interesting. This is pretty crazy. That last one kind of messed me up a little bit too. It's like, to what end is what I'm thinking. To what end? Like, at what point are you actually gonna find the supposed perfect subject? I'm sure they would have had specs.
It's like, bro, Aaron, you said that this was gonna be interesting. You didn't say it was gonna give me PTSD.
Yeah, no, you didn't tell me it was gonna be fucked up. This is like the type of shit that I would run into on like Instagram reels late at night.
Right, bro.
They get kind of spooky.
Right.
They get kind of scary. They get kind of dark.
Vault 77. Let's see.
Not much is known about Vault 77, aside from the fact that it only contained one man whose name has been lost to history. They say that after spiraling into depression from his long years of isolation, he uncovered a crate of hand puppets in the vault's storage. The puppets spoke to him. Driven mad by his forced solitude, he believed he'd finally found the other vault dwellers he'd dreamt of. As his delusions deepened, however, his Vault Boy puppet began to have greater and greater control over him, manifesting a violent personality that he couldn't control. After murdering the king puppet, he and Vault Boy fled their home, traveling into the wastes and leaving the lonely vault completely abandoned. If Vault Tech had intended to study the effects of isolation and the lengths one would go to for companionship, they had their answer. All it took was the last threads of one man's sanity. Unlike many of the other
that's insane.
Yeah, bro, that one's wild.
Okay, you gotta understand. I'm gonna just imagine right now. I'm gonna guess that these vaults were taxpayer money.
Yeah,
and you telling me that in the future the taxpayer funded an entire vault just to fuck with one guy?
Yeah, bro. They just put one man in it and some puppets. Just to see what would happen. Again, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of these experiments?
Rabble. I'm just saying, man.
The hidden purpose behind Vault 81 had a noble goal in mind. The development of a universal cure, something that could free humanity from all disease. Of course, they would design this cure through rampant human testing done on unsuspecting vault dwellers, with many succumbing to the diseases and outlandish cures that would be pumped through the ventilation system. Thankfully for the residents of 81, their overseer was switched at the last minute due to illness, with the compassionate overseer Olivet taking the reins as the bombs began to fall. Disgusted at the idea of running deadly tests on the vault's population, she failed to call on the science team that would inhabit the secret laboratory wing of the facility. Despite her efforts to exclude the scientists and prevent the experiments, 3 made it in, and Olivet was forced to sabotage the ventilation and access systems of the lab, trapping the 3 scientists inside and dashing any chance they had at unleashing their deadly diseases within the vault. After this rocky start, Vault 81 went on to survive and prosper, never knowing how close they came to a slow, grisly end, nor that the ones who would have dealt it to them were still sealed within their walls. Vault 94 was...
Whoa.
So, shit just kind of went south and they just kind of got left in the air. In the loop.
Yeah.
And they kind of just dodged a bullet. Is that what I heard, essentially?
Yeah. Like, that one was by far, like, maybe, like, the best turnout so far, I would say.
That one's like an act of God, or just like, I don't know, man. Like, you got super lucky here. This was super luck.
It's like, this is the best you could have hoped for on Gang.
Yeah, like, you got super lucky, man. Like,
besides one of being in one of the 13 like control vaults that were just fine for some reason. And I hope they do. Bro, I would really like to partake in a Fallout game where you start in one of those vaults where it's like it actually was fine, but then you find out, you know, that your family's vault tech or something, and then they suck, you know?
Right, or if they had like a very in-depth story inside a vault and you just are a vault dweller and just all the drama, like all the drama unfolding. Like, could you imagine just like actually playing or watching a series of that one vault where everyone's losing their minds and they can't escape? Like,
No.
ew,
Oh
ew,
God,
no.
that would be terrible.
That would just be play that shit in VR, bro. I dare you. No,
No, no,
I
baby.
wouldn't. No, no, baby.
It's
I
designed
love
to
that
ensure
meme.
that the post-war world would be able to thrive and feed itself. Along with the dwellers, the vault was stocked with a huge supply of farm-ready seeds as well as a geck to terraform the wasteland following the projected one-year unsealing process. With this extremely valuable stockpile under their care, one might expect the residents of this vault to be well armed and ready to defend their prize, but Vault Tech had other ideas. Only those totally dedicated to nonviolence would be permitted entry into the vault, with a large proportion being from a religious community of farmers led by the Salivar family. The vault was ruled by a council of residents, with everyone getting a say in how the community would be run. By all accounts, the situation within the vault was utopian, with its peaceful residents eager to repopulate the wastes following their year in isolation. On October 24, 2078, the doors opened and 94 sent out ambassadors across the wastes, inviting all to share in their abundance. In a cruel twist of irony, the vault's welcoming nature was deeply suspicious to the wastelanders of Appalachia, who expected their promise of safe harbor and abundant food was a trap designed to lure in unwary prey. After a brief altercation at the vault's entrance, a group of survivors from the town of Harper's Ferry massacred the residents to a man and destroyed the geck within, irradiating the whole area and driving the countryside's plant life into overdrive. Now nothing remains of Vault 94 or its peaceful residents but an overgrown metal coffin, their innocent dream dying alongside them. Vault 95 was...
that sucks, bro. They had a completely successful vault, and they just got hoed because they were nice. That sucks.
They were too nice. They were too nice. And it was suspicious.
That's tragic.
And it was self-defense. I'll tell you what. No, I'm joking. That's very unfortunate, though. That is, you can't make that shit up type of thing, you know?
That's so unfortunate. Going against all the odds, and then you're like, you know what? We're too nice.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I think that is indeed Darwinism. I think that's a Darwin Award right there, as they say.
Designed as a rehabilitation facility for people suffering from chem addiction. Buff out. Med-X, Mentats, Psycho, it didn't matter. All manner of addicts were accepted into the vault. For years after the bombs dropped, they were all forced to go cold turkey with the help of rehab staff and community support. Slowly, the hopelessly addicted vault dwellers came to grips with their new chemless lifestyle, and society in the vault began to thrive. That's when the real experiment started. 5 years after the vault was sealed, a Vault Tech agent implanted in the population unsealed a secret stash of hard drugs hidden in a crawl space. The company wanted to know what would happen if recovered addicts were given a chance to relapse back into their old addictions, and the results were explosive. Some immediately dove back into their old habits, some tried to stop their friends from accessing the stash, and others stayed as far away from the narcotics as possible. Inevitably, the tension between these groups erupted into violence, with the freshly drug-addled residents taking out their frustrations on those who would deny them their high, the conflict driving yet more to the buff-out bottle or Med-X syringe. Social order completely fell apart, and the vault was eventually abandoned, the residents fleeing into the wasteland, the more hopeless among them joining raider gangs to continue feeding their addictions, spreading misery across the Commonwealth. Now the vault is nothing but an empty building used at one time or another by various factions and currently occupied by the mercenary gunners. Still, some are drawn to the place by the promise of its rehab wing, which could apparently cure any addiction. Whether this miracle procedure is just a fairy tale spawned by stories of the vault's past or not is hotly debated by wastelanders across the Commonwealth, but If true, it could prove a potent prize indeed for anyone still struggling against Psycho's Siren Song. Vaults 92 and...
Man, that's pretty cool. I mean, in Fallout 4, you can actually travel to that vault and cure your friend, like your companion, of an addiction, like her crippling addiction. It's like the only way to cure her, and it actually does work. It does work.
I thought you were about to say she had crippling depression. I was like, you're gonna cure her depression.
Bro, honestly, she had that too. Kate definitely had crippling depression as well. Big facts.
Yeah, man. Of course she had depression, bro. It was a fucking post-apocalyptic world.
Bro, yeah, honestly, right, what's the depression rate in the post-apocalyptic world, bro? It's gotta be like 95%. They're pretty depressed. Or bro, is it 100%? It's just fucking, everyone's like, yeah, this sucks.
I like to say that depression rate is all of it, man. It's 100%. Straight 100.
It's gotta be.
You know?
106 were another pair of shelters with similar experimental designs. Both were designed to test the limits of the human brain when confronted with mind-altering stimuli. In the case of 106, it was a creeping, invisible cloud of hallucinogenic gas, and in Vault 92, it was a constant, never-ending drone of white noise. The results of both experiments were similar, causing some of the Vault's residents to become docile, relaxed, and suggestible, while driving others into murderous rages. In 106, this happened almost immediately following its sealing, with enraged dwellers attacking anyone nearby and quickly overrunning both the Vault's security team and their helplessly drugged companions. Even hundreds of years later, the toxic gas continues to circulate through the dead Vault's vents, causing headaches, nausea, and vivid hallucinations for anyone unfortunate enough to explore its depths. In Vault 92, the violence came slower and was much more insidious. At first, it seemed like the subtle suggestions layered into the noise were making the occupants, all celebrated musicians dedicated to preserving art beyond the apocalypse, more relaxed and suggestible. However, after weeks of constant exposure in every inch of the vault, the residents started to snap, killing colleagues and rampaging through the vault. One such affected man was shot 23 times after tearing a fellow musician limb from limb before finally succumbing to his injuries, kept on his feet only by a frothing, animalistic rage brought on by the mental conditioning. Those less affected by the noise took up arms against their mad former friends, and a silent war broke out beneath the wasteland's surface, of which there would be no survivors. Now the vault is full of mirelurks, bloatflies, and other vermin, living in the flooded, crumbling vault, which once held the best musical minds of the old world. Built into the mountains of Appalachia, Vault 96 contained only 5 inhabitants, all accomplished scientists.
What the
I think, damn. So there was just like white noise for one of them, and it was like hallucinogenics and shit for the others.
I just haven't. Again, just no purpose to any of this, man. It doesn't make any sense.
I think Mr. Beast did that once, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did it as like a challenge or something.
Probably. That one time, Mr. Beast made 2 vaults.
Actually, you know what? That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna be like, I made 200 vaults and spread them around the U.S. just to see what the fuck would happen. Like what?
Jimmy, you shady son of a gun! Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it, Jimmy.
Academics and a vault mainframe installed to organize their efforts. The efforts in question were to shelter plant and animal species native to the region before slowly releasing them back into the wild to repopulate the wasteland ecosystem. At least, this was the public story. In reality, the scientists were intended to research and induce mutations in the region's wildlife, to produce countermeasures against the beasts, as well as develop abilities that could prove useful if harnessed by Vault Tech. The mainframe running the vault would encourage productivity by conducting its own experiment on the researchers, where it would demand weekly credits earned through their efforts. If they fell behind in their work, the mainframe would allocate appropriate punishments for their laziness. Of course, Vault Tech being Vault Tech, an appropriate punishment for not meeting a quota was death via poison gas. By the time the true gravity of the situation had sunk in, one of their colleagues,
Well,
Nina,
that just makes
had
me even
already
more
been
lazy.
killed by the computer, and their ever-increasing quotas were becoming nearly impossible to fulfill. In a last-ditch attempt to escape the vault and inevitable death at the hands of their Silicon taskmaster, the scientists deployed a prototype computer virus to kill the mainframe and unseal the vault. The virus did end up destroying the homicidal machine, but not before it activated a failsafe, flooding the entire vault with poison gas and suffocating the last of the vault's occupants before they could make their escape. With
That's
the doors
tragic.
unsealed and no mainframe to run its systems, the animal test subjects of Vault 96 spread into the surrounding hills as the ice from the malfunctioning cryo units inside filled the facility with ice. Now a frozen tomb, the research vault is still packed with scientific instruments and facilities, making it an ideal haunt for any morally bankrupt post-war researchers looking to dabble in a bit of genetic engineering. One of the
I want to know, like, how they got enough of these scientists that are just super down for all this wicked shit. Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand.
Bro, scientists are weird, man. They'll do things in the name of science. It's just I don't know. It's a science thing, bro. You know, you want to catch them all. You want to catch them all.
I got it. I got the answer. I know what it is. They did it just to see. Because we could. You know.
Just 'cause.
Actually, I know what it is. They plugged it into AI, and that's what it told them they should do, and that's what they went with.
Cooler Vault experiments,
yeah.
Vault 108 was intentionally designed to fail spectacularly in as many ways as possible. After its sealing, the dwellers discovered that no one had been assigned to any jobs or other important positions besides the overseer, the chiefs of staff security, and the morale officer. After the chaotic assignment process wasted a good chunk of the vault's resources, the residents thought that they'd put the worst of it behind them and settled in for their new lives underground. Then, just 2 years into their stay, the overseer was diagnosed with brain cancer, which progressed in record time, killing him in a matter of months and sending the vault into yet another panic. Then, once normalcy was finally established again, the vault's main reactor failed, completely frying the power grid and forcing everyone inside to rely on the spotty and clearly strained emergency power supply.
No.
Then, with the power failing and the population still reeling from the shakeups in management,
Wait. They said it was all designed, so they put bro in there with like advanced brain cancer on purpose? Is that what he?
A shitty vault.
Wait a minute. That was part of the plan. How?
They just reach in there, bro, and they just place it in, man. That's how you do it. That's how you give someone brain cancer.
He's attacked. Alongside its normal functionality, Vault 108 had been equipped with a cloning lab, and the scientists within were performing human trials on a man named Gary. Now, the original Gary had long since died, but the Vault staff had been repeatedly duplicating his clones, creating a total of 54 copies. These clones weren't normal humans, but neither were they some test tube abominations like centaurs. They looked natural enough, but were severely stunted mentally and were psychotically violent towards every other human that wasn't also a Gary clone. Inevitably, these Garys escaped from their observation chambers and ran wild, overpowering the scientists and sweeping the halls of the vault, running down, killing, and even cannibalizing the rest of the vault's population. This downward spiral was no accident, however random it may have seemed. Vault-Tec had wanted to stress test a population to drive them to their limit and see how they'd break. Their overseer had been selected primarily based on his unique susceptibility to cancer. The reactor was only designed to last half of the vault's intended lifespan, and the rec room was barren while the armory was overstocked and unsealed. It was with these weapons that the Garys massacred the vault, weakened by its long-dead designer's malice. Now all that remains of Vault 108 is an empty metal husk, still patrolled by a few lingering clones, the only thing that cuts through the deafening silence. Built in the woods overlooking...
Yeah, they all just they say, Gary, Gary! They're like that, all throughout the vault. That's how they talk.
That's creepy. What Fallout is that in?
Gary, here's Gary, and it's in Fallout
that's-
New Vegas.
Man, I
Yeah.
really gotta play that one. That one sounds pretty cool.
Love Fallout New Vegas. It's probably it might be my favorite. It's pretty damn good. It's hard. It's so tough. They're just such good games. All of them. Even Fallout 4, I'm saying it, y'all. Controversial take. I like that one too, damn it. Gah.
You can't like it. You just can't like it, bro. I won't allow you. I'm joking.
The town
Actually,
of
that's about
Sanctuary
the only
Hills,
one I
Vault
played,
111 was intended as a testbed for cryogenic stasis technology. The residents of this facility would be kept in the dark concerning the process, with only the Vault Tech staff overseeing the vault being made aware of its true purpose. After being directed into decontamination pods, the dwellers would be frozen, with the attending staff observing the results of their extended suspended animation. The experiment went off without a hitch, the scientists observing the frozen test subjects, taking notes, and compiling data. The test was supposed to last for 180 days, after which the vault could be unsealed with an all-clear from Vault Tech headquarters or an overseer decree. But no all-clear came. The overseer also refused to unseal the doors manually, citing fears of deadly radiation just outside the vault.
Ew.
Eventually, in the face of dwindling supplies, the vault broke out into full-scale civil war, with the security and support staff assaulting the overseer and his loyalists, who responded by sending the whole facility into lockdown, entombing anyone who survived the bloody clash. The frozen residents of Vault 111 slept through it all, and for another 150 years beyond that, until finally, the door was opened again. Who knows what the strange and dangerous wasteland holds in store for anyone woken from their frozen slumber? Vault 112 was located...
Yeah, I knew a little bit of that, because that's just the vault you start in Fallout 4, but man, I didn't even really think about, like, the fact that, you know, all of the, like, current day people you're dealing with have nothing to do with, like, why everyone else in that vault is dead. I don't know why, but I just never even, like, really thought about that. God.
Yeah.
Hidden under an unassuming garage.
They had a whole civil war in there, man.
For real.
And like, I never really fucking realized, dude. They fucking slept through all that. That must have been an epic nap.
For real.
The outskirts of Washington, and was designed to test the long-term exposure of test subjects to the virtual reality loungers that filled the facility. These pods were equipped with a neural interface and life support systems, which would allow their occupants to live an idealized life free from harm in a simulation instead of the cramped confines of the vault. What could have been heaven for the 85 inhabitants chosen for this vault quickly became a living hell as their overseer, Stanislaus Braun, began to slowly go insane. Braun was a brilliant Vault Tech scientist responsible for the invention of the miraculous Garden of Eden creation kit, or GECK. However, the 200 years that had passed since the vault's sealing took a toll on him. By 2277, the man had become sadistic and bloodthirsty beyond measure. His position as overseer granted him godlike control over the simulation, able to rewrite and manipulate it as he saw fit. He used this power to torment the vault's inhabitants, breaking up marriages, arranging accidents, and even killing some occupants before wiping their minds and rebooting them back into the simulation. The helpless vault dwellers had to endure the agony of being killed and resurrected, only to be killed again for almost 200 years, completely at the mercy of Braun. Depending on the choices of the lone wanderer, when they inevitably stumble across the vault in the search for their father, they could either remain in that horrible limbo for many years to come, or receive peace with the activation of a failsafe program, allowing them to finally die and leaving Braun trapped on his own in the simulation. A just punishment for a man so cruel and twisted. Vault 118 was...
See, the way it's like... the way that shit comes out is it's like, bro... Did the dude at Vault Tech just decide to let all of his homies do whatever they wanted with these vaults? Like, that's exactly how it sounds, you know?
Well, I was gonna say earlier, like, I wonder what the fucking creators of Vault Tech are fucking doing this entire time. Like, what was the point of all of this? If like, what are you doing? What the fuck?
Where
like,
are they? What happened to all of Vault Tech, you know? Like, all of the up top management, you know? I know we
Chat.
see some of them like in like the three vault setup and all that, but like where are they really, man? Like where's the leaders of Vault Tech?
If somebody knows that, please let me know. That'd be awesome.
Come on, chat. Tell us what's going on.
Located on Mount Desert Island off the coast of Maine and buried underneath the Cliff's Edge Hotel. The hotel was a high-class retreat for wealthy tourists visiting the island, and the vault being built below it was designed to reflect this luxury. Vault-Tech advertisements presented this particular shelter as an exclusive, refined, and desirable living space where its inhabitants would be tended to hand and foot by robotic staff. While this was true and the complex was equipped with fine living quarters, amenities, and a large contingent of robot servants, the company failed to mention that there would be other residents included in the guest list. The overseer was instructed to, once the bombs began to drop, open the vault to a secretive second list, one composed entirely of working-class members recruited from surrounding towns. These poorer residents would be funneled into a cramped and uncomfortable second wing and left at the mercy of the wealthier inhabitants and their metal underlings. By maintaining and enhancing a divide in social class, the scientists at Vault-Tech hoped to study the effects of unlimited social power, the effects of class conflict on social stability, and the likelihood of a closed system erupting into all-out class warfare. Fortunately, this second wing was neither completed nor filled by the time the bombs fell, as funding fell through after several investors pulled out of the project. When the vault finally had to be used, only the well-appointed section was complete and safely housed its population of wealthy inhabitants for a time. After a period of confinement, however, one resident, a General Atomics scientist by the name of Bert Riggs, convinced the rest of his group to transfer their brains into some of the robotic shells they had on hand. That way, they would be able to outlast the war and take their rightful place once this all blew over. Now converted into robo-brains, the totally insane residents of Vault 118 are mostly harmless, but one shudders imagining the damage they could cause if the vault had been completed. If 300 innocent residents were lorded over by mad, immortal, and fabulously rich masters.
What?
Vault 114 was almost the
so like
complete
if I came to you with my brain and a robot, you wouldn't fuck with me, bro?
I'd be like, bro, I love you, dog, but I'm so good on that.
Bro,
like,
what do you got against the robot, man? Like
nothing, man. I just think
I would come up
I'm
to
gonna
you.
I'm gonna stay in my skin sack. You know what I'm saying?
I know that I would show up to you and you'd be able to see my brain, and it would just be like normal. It would just be like any other day.
Whoa.
It's just you hanging out with a brain. It would not be normal, bro. Don't let me gaslight you like that.
Built
That'd be
right
horrifying.
underneath Boston's downtown core, it had similar advertising to 118 with a unique twist. The promised luxury wouldn't be delivered. Instead, the rich families would be confined to small one-room apartments and placed under the control of a notoriously anti-upper-class overseer. The individual chosen for this task was a local homeless man by the name of Soup Can Harry, whose hobbies included eating Abraxo cleaner and uncovering secret Illuminati strongholds in downtown dumpsters. The experiment aimed to discover the outcome if the roles of wider society were reversed, and the poor and disadvantaged were able to rule over the rich. Like 118, this vault was never completed and stood empty for over 100 years, but has since become a haunt for gangsters and other troublemakers in the heart of Boston's post-apocalyptic downtown. And there you have it.
Yes, sir.
Every vault experiment in Fallout. Though some were made to be shelters and others research laboratories, the experimental vaults remain the most disturbing yet fascinating offer from everyone's favorite slimy pre-war corporation.
Yeah, bro. So, do you still want to sign up for a vault, or?
Yeah,
Hey,
I don't
how's it
know.
going, guys? It's Nate here.
I don't know. I think I'd just take my chances and die with the nuke, honestly. I don't know, man.
Hey, how's it
It'd
going?
just be so wacky. Hopefully I'd have my own bunker. That'd be great. If I had my own bunker, all right. Yeah.
Right.
I like
Hey,
to.
how's it going, guys? It's Nate here.
I like to say
and
hello
welcome
to
yet
the
another
19
Fallout
people watching
investigative
on
video.
YouTube. Thanks for
So,
tuning in,
let me
guys.
just be straight up and admit that
real.
what I would like to talk about today is Vault-Tec, and the
Yeah, shout
company's
out to
incredibly
all
curious
19
relationship
of
with
you
space,
currently.
and
Thank
to
you.
an extent,
Thank you so much.
maybe
That's
even
amazing.
aliens.
Amazing to see.
I know at face
that many
value you may
people
think,
joining
wait a
us
minute,
tonight.
Nate, what are you
Thank
on
so
about?
much.
But hear me out. When the dots are connected across the various Fallout games, not only 4, but 3, 2, 1, and even 76 and some cut content, a very interesting picture begins to form. One that indicates everyone's favorite Wasteland Corporation had a much more frightening grand plan in mind than we ever knew. And they very likely were even behind the Great War itself. In fact, they definitely were, according to one source, but more on that later. If you've been watching the channel lately, you know we've actually been talking a lot about supernatural things going on in the Fallout franchise. And the research train those earlier videos led me on is going on. Taking apart what they eat in the Fallout game and canceled movie, Fallout 76 and Fallout is room for eyes on the stars
Alright, chat.
since
I'm
the
gonna skip
beginning.
ahead.
There's also go further and figure out what the heck Vault-Tec was really up to. So, before we start combing through all of the games, I think
Bro, he really just did that. He just said,
without further ado, let's do further and figure out what the heck Vault-Tec was really up to. So, before we start co-rise, a quick refresh any memories that may or may not be
I
a
can't
little
believe he
hazy.
really did that. That's
Back
so
before
hilarious.
the bombs fell, in the
He
late
just keeps
21st
going.
century, world tensions were reaching a boiling point.
Okay.
And faced with a rapidly escalating conflict in
Here we go.
Asia, the American people and government realized that nuclear war had become a legitimate possibility. In response,
Right.
the semi-private
Cheers,
company
chat.
Vault-Tec
Love you
was
guys.
founded,
All
and
20
the
of
United
you.
States president
On YouTube
authorized
right now.
Project
Thank you for
Safe,
joining
Thank you.
us,
which
joining us
saw
on
VT
Kick and
receive
Twitch tonight as well.
trillions of dollars of
Appreciate all of
funding
y'all.
to construct large underground bunkers that could shield portions of the population from the initial blast of any atom splitting, and continue to protect them for the next few decades, until radiation levels above ground slowly returned to more habitable conditions. Once everything was safe enough, Volts would be given all clear signals, and their populations would be free to rebuild the great American society we all knew and loved. At least,
Supposedly.
that's what people were told. The reality was that most Volts were made to test how isolated, trapped populations would respond to a number of horrifying experiments as soon
Yeah,
as
no,
they were
fuck
seen.
that. I wouldn't sign up.
And very few Volts ever planned on
Right. We just went over that. Those of you just tuning in, we had just went over all the vaults, so now we are getting into Vault-Tec and why most people think that they started it.
reopening. For example, Vault 111 from Fallout 4 examined the effects of long-term cryogenic sleep on humans and suspended animation without their consent. Vault 75 was designed to create a race of super soldier children through a Spartan-like training regiment. It's said that Vault 77 was home to a single man, who was given nothing but a crate of puppets by the company, who just wanted to see what would happen. You get the idea. There were a small number of bunkers that did indeed fulfill their marketed purpose and safely harbored their dwellers for decades until an all-clear signal was issued, but those merely existed so the company could have a control variable they could compare everything else to, not because Vault-Tec actually cared. But hold on a second.
Yeah, we know they definitely
Vault-Tec
don't
is
care.
clearly trying to collect data on human behavior, but what good is that data if the bombs have fallen and society has totally collapsed? Like, this twisted evil stuff would kind of make sense if it were a part of some grand military experiment, but none of the research starts until the apocalypse is already hit. What's the point of gathering this intel, and who's it going to? Beyond that, how would the company be able to still monitor everything with the world destroyed? Was there a single central command bunker/center thing? Who knows? This is the real million-dollar question, or questions, our video seeks to address. And I'll just straight up say that none of the games give us any direct 100% answer as to why. Some of the games point in various differing directions, and there does definitely appear to be a strong link to the Enclave that we'll explore later on, but this is largely a mystery in the franchise that, to this day, is officially unconfirmed. Well, let's finally...
Real quick, shout out to Epic Nate for these fantastic videos that he does.
Very good stuff.
He's definitely the source for most of the greatest Fallout lore content available on this platform, no doubt.
Yeah, I've been enjoying this stuff. It's pretty good stuff.
We start jumping into the games and see what they reveal. We'll start with Fallout 4, and then jump back to Fallout 1, 2, New Vegas, 76, etc. I know it may seem to make more sense to just start in the beginning, but trust me, this is for the best. So, despite being one of the biggest titles, Fallout 4 is pretty bland in the lore it does tell us about the company. Or, at least, vanilla Fallout 4 is pretty bland. That's called foreshadowing. The most notable event for the purposes of this video is probably the introduction of the game, which of course takes place minutes before the war really begins. After customizing our character, a representative for the company visits us, informs us that because of our family's service to the United States military, we've been granted free spots in the local vault, Vault 111. Then, just seconds after the rep leaves, the bombs start flying, and we rush over to the structure just in time. And that's where the game really begins. Now, this whole entire intro sequence just screams insanely lucky coincidental timing. Seriously, what are the odds that just after your family got accepted, the big kaboom would begin? This always sat a little uneasy with me, because
yeah, I definitely always thought that was weird. Like, why was it that, like, right before that happened, he came to the door? But even stranger, why does he come to the door to save our asses, and then you get to the gate and find out that he can't even get in? What's up with that? Why was that family in particular saved right before everything went bad? Or was it just really just a happy accident? You know, was it really a happy accident? I don't know.
Or is it?
Because the way he comes up to you, he's like, he comes up to you and he's like, atomic annihilation may happen sooner than you think. And it's like, okay. I don't know. Weird stuff.
I don't think he, I mean, you have to accept his offer anyways, I'm pretty sure.
Right, yeah,
I'd like to think that he was trying to save some folks right before, you know.
Bro, he comes up, what's your offer?
Anyone who's ever taken a creative writing class before knows that including such insane coincidences in a piece of literature or media is a great way to confuse and de-immerse the reader, or in this case, player, and should be avoided unless there's a really good narrative reason to do so, especially at a point as critical as the introduction. At the same time, this is still a really good sequence, and it familiarizes us with the plot quickly and thrusts us straight into the action. So perhaps Bethesda was just okay with the trade-off. However, when we're talking about the Vault-Tec rep and he's getting us all signed up, there's this really interesting moment that the writers clearly designed on purpose, where the man kind of, well, he says something very lucky.
What's so important?
Why, nothing less than your entire future. If you haven't noticed, sir, this country has gone to heck in a handbasket. If you'll excuse my language, the big kaboom is... it's inevitable, I'm afraid, and coming sooner than you may think. If you catch my meaning?
Bro,
now, what are the chances of that?
God.
The obvious implication...
That was literally what I said. He just comes up...
I never realized. He fucking says it like that. That's yeah. I mean, I need to replay this game, actually. I really like to replay this.
Yeah. Gas.
There's
big facts.
It's some gas, man. That's fucking... Man, the graphics look great, even on the stream.
Good.
Is that this dude knew exactly what was up. Yet the context is still ambiguous enough to afford a lot of deniability. It's very likely that Vault-Tec just tells all of their representatives to say that to encourage sales. Or maybe he personally just had a lucky feeling. Or maybe the voice actor just took more creative liberties than they should have. If we look in Fallout 4's creation kit, we can in fact see the actual scripts the voice actors would read when delivering their lines. And we can find that the Vault-Tec rep was directed to quote-unquote speak confidently when making the allusion to that big kaboom. So, whatever the truth is, this was definitely done on purpose. Moving on, after escaping from 111's cryopods 200 years later, we'll awake to discover it abandoned, and could read a few terminal entries which provide a bit more relevant information. The terminals are mostly just diary entries from the old overseer before he passed away, yet the perspective they provide is very useful for our purposes. Evidently, 111 did receive an early warning indicating that the birds were in the air. This bought them valuable time to prepare and get everything ready to go just in time for us. Furthermore, the overseer was apparently directed to not open the vault up for anybody but Vault-Tec. No one else. Not even the United States or the United States military. Only open with Vault-Tec's approval. This is important. Keep that in mind. Other vaults like 81 also have similar mentions in their overseer instruction terminals. Anyway, beyond vague allusions to the company having a better idea than anyone else of when the bombs would fall, and the insistence that only Vault-Tec themselves should be allowed to issue an all-clear instruction, there's not much more info vanilla Fallout 4 has that's of relevance. We'll get to the DLCs later, I promise. Now, let's jump into Fallouts 1 and 2, and explore what they suggest about the company. Originally, when I first wrote this script, I had planned to talk about each of these two games separately, but honestly we just saved so much time by meshing them together and including them in the same segment, because they're so related. These games, of course, both take place on the west coast of the United States, with Fallout 1 occurring around 126 years prior to the events of Fallout 4, and Part 2 beginning around 80 years after that. In them, we learn that long before the Great War ever began, back when the world still seemed somewhat normal, many high-ranking members of the United States government and military, including certain congressmen, presidents, generals, etc., all came to the conclusion that nuclear war was inevitable, and together they formed a secret society called the Enclave, which developed contingency plans to allow their members to survive any sort of nuclear attack thanks to a number of bunkers and offshore rigs, with the idea of them being able to carry on a government after the—
Damn, okay. Different kind of question for you, Diego. Get me out on this. Offshore rig with the facilities to make sure you and everyone doesn't get irradiated, or a vault?
Offshore rig. I'm kind of afraid of water like that, though.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I just would worry because, like, eventually everything wears down. Eventually, man. Not a vault.
I mean, it depends how far off you'd be. Like, really depends
bro,
on
I'm
the
trying to get my own island.
Where we at?
That's what I'm trying to be fair.
Have. I don't know, man, because you're running a lot of risk as far as, like, you don't know what vault you would have gotten anyways, you know? If it's one that you can finagle your way and try to, survive. I'm trying to decide if you have more chance of surviving in a fucked up vault, or maybe lucking out and being in a not so fucked up vault, or whatever the case be, versus just being out there at sea in a post-apocalyptic setting. And oof. It's like, for how long would I be out there? I might take my chance on it, though. I
think if I could choose anything, I just want my own island, gang. I want a secret facility on an island.
I will say this: you have a better chance of finding an island if you're out there on shore than if you're stuck at a fucking vault. So if that makes you feel better.
The rest of society had collapsed. By the time these games take place, the Enclave is back in force. Well, really, they're back in Fallout 2. Fallout 1 doesn't even mention them. They didn't exist in the first one, but I digress. By the time Fallout 2 takes place, the Enclave is back in force and has been kidnapping people across the wasteland, and has been taking them to their secret structures for experimentation. Apparently, the Enclave believes that in order to truly rebuild the United States, the wastelanders inhabiting the ruins will need to be wiped out and exterminated, so everything can start back up from scratch. And to accomplish this goal, the Enclave is producing numerous horrifying bioweapons. Anyway, at some point in Fallout 2, as we're working to get some kidnapped friends back, we meet the Enclave's president, a man named Mr. Richardson. And he explains that the real reason the United States began Project Safe House and had Vault-Tec build all those shelters was so that the Enclave could monitor their experiments after the war and use the data to further the research goals. Noting that a few Vaults had no experiments, so that Enclave researchers would later be able to raid said Vaults in the future and kidnap the uncontaminated humans for experimentation. Ugh, how awful.
Well, no, not quite. You see, we had planned ahead. We were ready. We had a number of sanctuaries that would enable the glorious American civilization to endure. This facility, the vaults, were part of the great plan. Actually, they worked almost exactly the way they were supposed to. You might call it a social experiment on a grand scale. The vaults were set up to test humanity. Some had not enough food synthesizers. Others had only men in them. Yet others were designed to open after only 6 months. They each had a unique set of circumstances designed to test the occupants. Vault 13 was a special case. It was supposed to remain closed until the subjects were needed. Vault 13 was, in scientific parlance, a control group.
So that explains it, right? Vault-Tec and the Vault began because people in the US government were already planning for things to go south and wanted a large stock to conduct some unethical experiments after the bombs went boom. Bingo. Right? Well, not exactly. In various forum posts after the release of Fallout 2, developers for Interplay and Black Isle Studios, the original creators of the Fallout franchise who made these games, clarified that President Richardson's description was only kind of right. And that while the Enclave did have some data from some Vaults, they were also shut out from quite a few. Remember, in Fallout 4, all the Vaults in that game told us not to listen to anyone but Vault-Tec. Presumably, anyone includes the Enclave. According to the devs, Richardson was a bit wrong. He was partially just lying to sound more intimidating, and partially just didn't really understand what he was talking about. Remember, Fallout 2 does take place over 100 years after the apocalypse, so maybe he heard some information wrong. Something I definitely need to emphasize is the folks at Interplay and Black Isle, the franchise's original creators, did a lot of retconning between Fallouts 1 and 2 just on the message boards alone. Like, constantly you see them say, yeah, just forget about that, or no, we weren't thinking about that at that time, pretend that never happened. And it's hilarious, but does make the lore a little bit more difficult to understand from our perspective. Anyway, I digress. So, at this point in time, with the information we do have, Vault-Tec's goals are still fairly ambiguous. Apparently, the Enclave was doing their best to try and get some of their information, but they didn't totally control the company. Well, one of the writers for Fallouts 1 and 2, a man named Tim Kaine, no, not that one, who in fact originally came up with the whole idea of Vaults in the first place, was asked by a community member on the forums what the Enclave's ultimate goal was, and he simply said, quote, "The Enclave's plan was originally to go to space and colonize another planet." End quote. Oh my. So, according to one of the...
Bro. What a weird choice. Like, alright. You know what? We've got a perfectly good planet here. But you know what? I'm done with this planet. I'm sick of it. I'm ready to take off. I'm ready to go to a new planet. And fuck that shit up, too.
Brand new trap planet, you know? Fuck it up. Do what we do best.
For real.
The lead writers. The Enclave was never even interested in trying to
Elon Musk.
save America or anything like that. No, they wanted to export this society to an untainted planet somewhere in the stars. At least that was their original objective before they presumably failed and settled on what they ended up doing. But that really puts the Vaults in a whole nother perspective. No wonder why they would have cared so much about how isolated human populations behave. They would have been dealing with isolated populations traveling the stars for years if they succeeded.
I like this music app. That they
Bethesda would
uses.
go on to honor most of the lore from the original Fallouts and do their best to keep everything in line, but
Yeah,
it's
the
clear they
music he
also wanted to
chooses
tell their own
really
story,
vibey.
and they took some liberties as well. This makes it rather difficult to decide whether or not Tim Kane's quote on the Enclave wanting to go into space would or should ever hold up to be canon, because unless Bethesda Game Studios themselves ever confirm that to be the case, well, then it may as well not be. Nonetheless, before we dive into Fallout 3 and what that tells us, there are two cancelled Fallout projects that released between Fallouts 2 and 3 that I'd like to mention, both by Interplay. Again, considering after this point Bethesda took over the franchise, it's difficult to consider what they have to say totally canon, and because both of these projects, one being a movie, the other being a cancelled game, were both cancelled, obviously not even Interplay fully considered them canon yet. Still, they provide us with a lot of interesting perspective. Fallout Van Buren was the codename given to what would have been Interplay's Fallout 3. Of course, before the game ever released, Bethesda acquired the rights to the franchise and Van Buren was totally scrapped. However, they got pretty far along in developing the story, and indeed, many of the design documents for these games and all of the lore they would have revealed have been posted online. One of the major contributions to the Fallout franchise's lore Van Buren would have made was completely fleshing out the Enclave as a faction's objectives. And in it, we'd learn that just before the bombs fell, in November of 2076, the Enclave apparently anticipated what was coming, and seized control of the Bloomfield Space Center. Quote, "They knew nuclear war was just around the corner, so they tried to refit the Hermes 13 spacecraft and convert it into a vehicle that would take personnel, mainly themselves, off the planet. Destination
That's
yet
so
to
wild.
be determined." End quote. So,
How could they
That's
be like,
very
yeah, that's the
ballsy.
plan. Yeah, how could the plan be, yeah, let's just get off planet, man. But like they don't even know where they're gonna go, bro. What?
You don't think it's like you don't think the shockwaves from the bombs and everything aren't gonna fuck? I don't know, man. Whatever the fuck is. It's just like the equivalent of me when I'm trying to fucking steal a jet from the fucking army in GTA, dude. I get it, and then I don't know where to go, and then I get shot down. Not very smart. That's whack. I thought they would have had a cooler purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
according to the original minds behind the
Oh, real quick, I just want to say thank you to all of you tuning in tonight. This is the most people I've ever had tune into a stream before. There's 30 people watching on YouTube right now. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had seen it. I was about to send you a message because I was just like, wow, that's a lot of people right now, and it's an amazing feeling. So thank you very much. I also seen, and I'm not sure if that's either one of us. I'm not on Twitch, but there's like one viewer on Twitch too, and so to that one viewer, thank you very much for being here with us. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Thank all of you. Truly.
We got 3 viewers on Kick. Thank you very much if you're watching us on Kick. We love Kick. Aaron just kind of added Kick out of nowhere, and I've been enjoying streaming on there as well. But thank you to all of you. Appreciate it, guys.
We love everyone that's a part of Team Coyote, you know?
Fallout franchise, the Enclave's endgame was always in the stars, not on planet Earth. And to that end, the objectives of Vault-Tec make a lot more sense. Furthermore, turns out, before Interplay signed everything over to Bethesda, they were actually considering a Fallout movie. They did not get very far, and there's no evidence to suggest this film ever got past the
That
treatment
sucks.
phase. A film treatment is simply a really long summary of a movie's potential plot before the script is actually written. However, in 2011, the entire 15-page film treatment, or plot summary, was posted online, and we got to see everything they were thinking about doing. A very important thing to note is that the guy who actually wrote the treatment and everything wasn't
Okay, I would definitely like to like check out that whole treatment at some point. Maybe even on stream. I don't know. That's really cool. Honestly.
An Interplay writer or developer.
I mean, don't you think that's like super sick?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I was gonna tell you, it's like shout out internet, bro. They fucking uploaded that shit so we can actually fucking look at it.
Right.
Instead, it was
Honestly,
an actual TV film
enough, I'd be
person
down to do
guy
it sometime.
familiar with the industry. A film writer named Brent V. Friedman, who does a lot of gaming film crossover stuff. Because of this, we have to keep in mind that Mr. Friedman probably wasn't the most familiar with the Fallout universe's lore, and probably didn't understand quite a lot about it. As a result, when we look through the treatment, there's a lot of weird inconsistencies we'll find here and there. No matter, the Fallout movies plotline would have been very similar to the Fallout 1 video game's plotline, in of it that it followed the tale of a group of Vault Dwellers, who were forced to go find a new water purification ship outside of the wasteland because the one in their vault had broken down. It's honestly really bad, but there's this really interesting scene the treatment describes, where the Dwellers are at some sort of wasteland market, and one of them is approached by an ancient, self-proclaimed historian, who wants to talk to the Dwellers and ask them what they know. And, well, I'll just let this familiar voice explain what happens next.
An ancient, self-proclaimed historian approaches our hero, wanting to know all the details of Vault 13. Turns out the historian is writing the definitive book on World War III. Vault 13 is the final chapter. Each vault was populated by upper-middle-class families buying the equivalent of timeshare in the future. Our hero asks how the war started and is shocked to learn that it wasn't China or North Korea or India that fired the first strike. The first nuclear bomb was launched by the creator of the vaults, a zealot businessman who wanted to fulfill his own prophecy of world annihilation.
Wow.
That first bomb triggered a panic chain reaction among other countries, leading to a 4-hour World War III.
No. So that definitely could be like exactly what they're going for in the show now. Like they could be just essentially repurposing that script and making it.
Oh yeah,
bro. And that's the only thing that makes sense with the experiments too, because it's like we keep saying, it's like, bro, some kind of madman obviously is like cool with doing all this crazy stuff. So it's like, yeah, he just wanted to
he
see the
fucking
world
provoked
burn.
World War III, dude.
He just wanted to set the world on fire. Actually, bro. Oh my god. That's gotta be what they're going for now. I mean, it only makes sense.
That's bananas, truly.
Bear in mind, this is apparently just a random wastelander who claims to be a historian, so, you know, the exact accuracy of the information they provide the heroes with is questionable at best. But given the fact that the writer of this treatment clearly doesn't understand the lore of the Fallout universe, it seems very likely that he was told to include this plot point by someone at the studio who really wanted to see it done. Meaning this likely may have been Interplay's original opinion on how the Great War was supposed to have started.
Yeah.
The film never released, so obviously we can't consider it definitive canon.
Right.
And now that Bethesda's in control of anything, it doesn't really matter if that's what Interplay wanted anyway, unless Bethesda says otherwise. But still, this is some very interesting and useful context for what we're trying to understand. Because maybe Bethesda is a little interested in following through on Interplay's original vision. We'll see though. If you'd like to watch a full video on the entirety of the cancelled Fallout movies plotline, and maybe hear a familiar voice along the way, I'll leave a link in the description down below to a video done on it by TKS Mantis, who really goes into detail.
Okay, that could be cool. That could be what we do as far as checking that out. We may dip into that later on the channel. That'd be really interesting. What do you think, Diego?
Oh yeah, man. I've been relatively pleased with the Fallout lore. I like it.
So good.
And explains everything. But without any further ado, now that we know what Fallouts 1 and 2 have to say, as well as the cancelled Interplay IPs, let's finally jump into Fallout 3. And let's not even hold any punches back. Let's start with the real interesting stuff. So, Megaton is one of the biggest settlements in the entire game, and very likely it's the first settlement you'll encounter after escaping from Vault 101. Importantly, this entire town is built around a nuclear bomb that dropped, but never actually detonated. Depending on the player's choices, you can actually permanently deactivate this bomb and ensure it never poses a threat at all, or you can trigger its warhead and cause the entire place to be leveled and kill, presumably, hundreds of people. Though Megaton really only has like 10 or 20 folks in it. Anyway, take a good hard look at this thing. What's that? This bomb doesn't have a Chinese flag on it. No, it has a Vault-Tec insignia. What the hell? This wasn't fired by America's enemies in the war, it was dropped by Vault-Tec. Presumably.
Damn.
Admittedly, if Vault-Tec was dropping bombs all around the United States to cause a panic or create an apocalypse or whatever, I'd imagine they'd want to keep their identity a secret, so I don't get why they'd print their logos on the actual bombs. That just seems really dumb, but no matter, there you go. Additionally, Fallout 3 also teaches us that when the United States did decide to launch its nukes against China, it believed it was not engaging in a first strike, but was simply responding to an enemy who already struck first. We know this because at Fort Constantine, an old military installation in the capital wasteland, we can find a number of terminals that reveal the US was engaging in response measure MXCN-91. So the US, at the very least, thought they weren't being the aggressors, merely answering another attack. Could it be that maybe the states were really under attack, but not by China? Instead, it was Vault-Tec, and the military just panicked and got it wrong.
Damn.
Perhaps Bethesda really is staying true to the original plot of the Fallout movie. Or maybe they seem to imply that the Enclave and elements of Vault-Tec were working together. We know for a fact the Enclave held a great deal of influence over the Vault-Tec Corporation, though, again, we're not sure how deep that influence went. But it's not unreasonable to imagine that maybe the Enclave really was gearing up to go to space, and they were ready to enter the next phase of their plan. But before they could get in their ships, they wanted all of the data the Vaults would provide, so they had Vault-Tec start the war a little bit early, so they could start research as soon as possible. Okay, well, hold on a second though. If Vault-Tec started this great war, if they were...
But if Vault-Tec started this war and you guys haven't liked and subscribed, then...
What are you doing, mate?
Yeah, that might be the bigger issue here, actually. Sorry, y'all.
The bigger issue.
I had to drop that in here. Thank you. Sorry.
Is he breaks my heart. You're breaking my heart. If you don't subscribe. But that's it. Okay.
Bro. It doesn't quite look like the normal Vault-Tec symbol, though.
Nah, I mean, not really.
But I mean,
I think...
what else would that be for, though? Honestly.
Right. That's crazy. When I first played this game, I only played it for a little bit, but I checked out Megaton, and I never noticed that sign on the nuke. I was
definitely next playthrough. I'm gonna go find it. I'm trying to go see it.
I was a fool. I didn't know.
Wild.
I didn't know.
Man, people on the that like find all this stuff, like it's just like people are just so much more observant than I am. Like, damn.
I know. I only recently started playing games and really
like, oh really yeah, they actually leave context clues
enjoying
for
them.
you.
Yeah, they do.
Amazing.
Like there's a lot to be immersed with, and I used to kind of just play video games willy nilly, you know, and so yeah.
Imagine how much we missed playing the Batman games. How many like little things that we probably missed out on just walking right past.
On that note, thank you for reminding me, because it's October and spooky season, cold season. I'm gonna start playing Batman. Fucking Arkham Asylum, dude. Arkham City. Good
Hey, man,
games,
that's
dude.
something we could check out on here. Let us know if you want to see that, chat.
Really the true
Bro,
instigators behind
I wanna see
everything. How on earth would they have been able to get their hands on a nuclear bomb? Well,
Very carefully.
we'll get there. Just hang on. So, the last thing I want to direct your attention to regarding Fallout 3 are the Overseer's terminals in Vault 101. If we access them, we can see that within the past few years, the Vault was apparently contacted by the Enclave. And I'll just read it to you. Quote, the Vault recently received unexpected radio contact over the governmental Vault-Tec frequency from an organization calling itself the Enclave. Governmental codes are valid, according to the Vault's ancient records, and the Enclave put forth an offer of amnesty and unity with the official remnants of the American government, in exchange for access to the Vault and its data stores. They claim that our Vault passwords no longer match their records, preventing them from extending their offer in person. After brief negotiation, I have refused entrance to this Enclave. I cannot trust my Vault and its inhabitants to an unknown factor, much less one that would so gallantly suggest abandoning our Vault's great mission. All the more reason to prevent the rebels from opening the Vault to the likes of them. End quote. So, the Enclave was even trying to interact with the local Vaults of the Capital Wasteland, and apparently had quite a bit of knowledge about them and access to their original frequencies. The only reason they couldn't get into Vault 101 is that somehow the passwords must have changed, or they lost them. Alright, well, moving on to Fallout New Vegas, there's actually not much of note here. Keep in mind, New Vegas was actually made by Obsidian, or the successor to Interplay Studios, who made the original Fallouts 1 and 2. And
I did not
funnily
know
enough,
these
the game
things.
carries over a lot of elements and themes from the cancelled Fallout Van Buren project, and a few characters are even present. But that said, there's not a whole lot of information on the Enclave or Vault-Tec's grand plan or anything like that. The closest thing to a notable event is a potential Wild Wasteland random encounter, in which we can find a nuclear bomb
this game
buried
looks
into the
cool.
ground that's undetonated. And this bomb has the same model and texture used as the Megaton explosive. It's just undetonated. And it too has a Vault-Tec logo. As it's a Wild Wasteland encounter though,
That's
we
cool.
probably shouldn't take it all that seriously. Anyway, let's just move on, back to
It's still
Fallout
there
4,
though.
and specifically, its DLCs. Starting off
Like,
with
someone's gotta do
Nuka World.
something.
So, Nuka World, of course, was the game's final major expansion, and it took us to the Nuka World amusement park,
I remember
which was
this,
divided
Nuka World.
into multiple separate themed zones. So, there was a Kitty Kingdom theme zone, a Safari Adventure theme zone, and of course, a Space Galactic themed zone. This Galactic
Bruh.
zone was unique though.
Imagine a straight up Coca-Cola theme park. That'd be wild.
Fucking Coca-Cola theme park, bro.
Be something.
As it was constructed
more of a Dr.
not
Pepper
just
guy.
by the Nuka-Cola Corporation, but in collaboration with ArcJet Rocket Systems, Robco, and Vault-Tec. Vault-Tec specifically erected an attraction
God damn
called
it.
Vault-Tec
Vault-Tec strikes
Among
again.
the Stars.
Ah!
This was a ride, or really museum experience kind of thing, that allowed visitors to tour what a vault might look like on a different planet. Specifically, the planet Arcturus 1. On the ride, we can see biofarms, astronauts in
Where's
suits,
that on our
robotic
solar
aliens.
system?
It's a neat little moment. Now, unfortunately, we do later learn, thanks to some terminals, that the Vault-Tec company was using this ride to perform horrifying experiments on its staff and visitors. However, still, maybe this idea for an attraction didn't just come out of nowhere. Maybe Vault-Tec wasn't really treating this attraction as a ride, but more of as a test, as a practice. Who knows? If not, it's quite a coincidence
very
the company
first
would
vault
opt to
test.
participate in something like this,
bastards.
rather than, I don't know, just build a fake vault anywhere else in the park. Oh well. Then there's the Wasteland Workshop expansion, which I never thought I would talk about in a video like this. The Wasteland Workshop was, of course, a settlements-based DLC that allowed players to construct their own mini vault.
A video like this will have you thinking every company in the world's running a test on you.
Oh, man.
After discovering the ruins of Vault 88. Or really, the Vault 88
Have
construction
mercy.
site. The vault was never finished. Well, while we're down in the construction site, we can find that Vault-Tec actually discovered uranium deposits. Remember how we were wondering how the heck they could build a nuke on their own? I think we found our answer.
Oh.
Alright, well, let's finally head on over to Fallout 76. The latest game in the franchise that absolutely everybody loves and has no negative reviews, and everyone's very excited for this part of the video.
Me?
76 right off the bat doesn't appear
76
to
is
necessarily
good now,
confirm
sir.
or deny any of these theories.
Thank
However,
you.
recently, as many of you know, 76 received its Wastelanders expansion that introduced human NPCs, dozens of hours of new questing content, and a few new locations. One of the big places Wastelanders focuses on is an area called the Crater. This is a place that appears in vanilla Fallout 76, and just appears to resemble the crash site of an old space station. Normally, this place was always relatively inaccessible, meaning we couldn't go inside and look around. However, with Wastelanders, we can now do just that, and it's actually a major base for the incoming Raider faction. What we learn from the inside of this thing is that, at least judging by the paint that's used on various doors, a couple of the bodies, and a few terminal entries, it seems there were Vault-Tec scientists aboard the space station when it was in orbit. What would they be doing up there?
That's so weird.
Furthermore, there's a location called Vault-Tec University that's always been on the map that chances are you're at least somewhat familiar with.
I fear
even
that
if
this
you
is
haven't
happening
played
right
Fallout
now.
76.
Honestly.
Like, you've probably seen it before in trailers and whatnot. Well, Vault-Tec University originally was a normal private university that the Vault-Tec company bought sometime in the late 21st century and turned into their own institution. When Vault-Tec purchased this university, at least as terminals tell us, they immediately fired the overwhelming majority of the staff and replaced them with their own Vault-Tec employees. The only people who were able to remain were individuals the company deemed relevant to their objective. So think engineers and a couple of scientists. Those kinds of people were allowed to stay. Well, those people and another exception. Two professors, one named Michael Blake and another with an unknown last name but the first name of Jacqueline. These two individuals were linguists. They specialized in studying foreign and ancient languages. For some reason, Vault-Tec kept them aboard. And what they were studying just before, well, you know what happened, was something called the Horse Creek Petroglyphs. Apparently the Horse Creek Petroglyphs were a series of Stonehenge-like stones that contained some weird engravings on them that these two researchers were trying to understand. For whatever reason, Vault-Tec must have decided that their work was relevant enough to keep them on board. Now, the Horse Creek Petroglyphs are a real thing in West Virginia. You're seeing a picture of them on screen now. And, with the addition of the Wastelanders update, Bethesda actually added the stones in the game, with the weird inscriptions. Now, they weren't attached directly to any quests or anything like that. They were just plopped right in and left without a trace. But they're here now. Many suspect that these have extraterrestrial origins, and that Vault-Tec kept those two staffers on board to any quests or anything like that. You're seeing a picture of them on screen now. And, with the addition, relevant enough to keep them on board. Now, the Horse Creek Petroglyphs are a real thing in West Virginia. You're seeing a picture of them on screen now. And, with the addition of the Wastelanders update, Bethesda actually added the stones in the game, with the weird inscriptions. Now, they weren't attached directly to any quests or anything like that. They were just plopped right in and left without a trace. But they're here now. Many suspect that these have extraterrestrial origins, and that Vault-Tec kept those two staffers on board because they really wanted to figure out what those glyphs are telling them. Since the addition of these rocks, which have been dubbed the Guide Stones, there has been an incredible community effort to try and translate them and figure out what they say. There's a particular Fallout 76 data miners Discord where most of this activity has been going on, and it's incredible what they've tried to do. They, in fact, seem to have effectively translated much of it. So far, it still mostly comes out to gibberish, but one phrase made out is quote-unquote, "Prepare yourself for destruction of your life by fire when you arrive. Life weakens. Protect what remains here on Earth." End quote. I'll leave a link to this Discord in the description down below so you can check it out for yourselves. But the overwhelming consensus there, which is pretty much confirmed, and I'll explain why in a second, is that it's definitely aliens behind these stones. And these aliens are a little bit more personal than you might think.
Aliens
because
are coming.
Data miners have also cracked
SpongeBob was
another
right.
interesting sort of code, but one of a different kind. At the National Research Radio Center, there's a couple of terminals that currently don't do anything relevant for the purposes of this video. However, deep in their files, we can uncover they have IDs related to these guide stones, and unused actions that would allow the player to seemingly send messages to an alien in space. I know it sounds very, very weird and vague, and that's kind of the nature with these data mine things. The consensus is that we'll probably receive something in a future update or DLC that actually allows us to perform this function, and it's possible it could vary greatly from what we've found so far, given the nature of, you know, data mining future content, but it looks like there's definitely more to this story. And if that's not all, Vault 96 is a vault in Fallout 76 that currently isn't...
This is the story of how I get Diego to play Fallout 76 online.
Yeah, no, I want to. No, definitely. Fucking.
Hell yeah,
I mean,
dude.
help me play it. Buy it
help
for
me
me,
do
bro, please.
See that, chat? He needs a copy of the game.
And someone send me a copy.
Accessible by normal means. You can't go into it or anything like that. Bethesda has confirmed that eventually in the future, it will be opened up as a part of a raid/dungeon thing like they do with most vaults. Well, for a long time, players have actually been able to glitch into the structure, and data miners have also reviewed all of its files. And one very interesting discovery made is that inside, there's supposed to be a Flatwoods monster boss that would spawn in. The Flatwoods monster is, of course, just a Zetan alien that appears in 76.
Awesome.
What would it be doing in this vault? Well, we don't know yet, because the vault's not open. This is all still admittedly subject to change, as is the nature with anything we're trying to data mine from the future. Bethesda might decide they don't want to go that route, or we could be dealing with placeholder assets. However, given everything we know about Vault-Tec and their previous interesting relationship with the stars, I think we can safely say there's definitely something going on here, and the company may even be in contact with the fourth kind. Not to mention their presence on the spaceship and everything, it just all makes too good of sense. And hopefully, very
first,
soon,
second, and third
Fallout
kind.
76 will finally give us the answers we've long been searching for. My personal theory, and the one that seems to be the general popular consensus on Reddit, is that the Vault-Tec Corporation had a deep relationship with the Enclave. The Enclave's objective was always to go into space and utilize ships to go search the stars for new planets to colonize. They wanted to use Vault-Tec's data so they could better understand how their societies would function when aboard these isolated ships.
Making sure
As a result, the Vault-Tec Corporation also had a very deep fascination and interest in space, and many of its executives and leaders were aligned with that objective.
No, we're gonna have issues right now.
At one point or another, the company eventually
Wi-Fi,
decided to
stop
start the
working.
Great War and let the bombs fly. Perhaps the Enclave was ready for it to happen, or maybe they were about to get found out and had to do something. Whatever the case, they also were responsible for the war. We'll have to wait and see where this story goes in the future. Anyway, with that, we are going to wrap up. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. What do you think happened here? Do you think the Vault-Tec Corporation started?
Yeah, bro, what he said. Do y'all think he did it? Do y'all think they did it? Because I do. I think some crazy dude was at or crazy somebody was just at the head of that whole thing, and that's just what happened. They got to rapping, and that's what happened.
I mean, honestly, that sounds probable. You know, crazy organization is, you know, heavily funded, and then they just fucking figure out a way to create a nuke. All hell breaks loose, man.
Right. Well,
Damn, that's the wildest soap opera I've ever heard. Sincerely.
well, that is going to have to be it for this evening. We are both working men, and we both have to work very early in the morning. We appreciate each and every one of you deeply. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, follow us anywhere you can. We appreciate you so much for joining us. Again, this is our most viewed stream so far on YouTube. It's fantastic. There's 33 of you watching on there right now. Thank you so much. This is incredible. Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Yep, thank you very much, chat. This is a very wonderful stream. Very neat experience. So we will be streaming again on Thursday and Sunday. Same platforms. We usually try to hop on around 6 p.m. So
The only
if you guys
exception
are
is
interested,
Mondays. Mondays has been a recent add-on, and we're doing that at 8 p.m.
yeah, and we just do different things. So if you're interested, check us out. We really love having you on, and say hello in the comments. We appreciate it. Thank you. I hope all of you have a very good night.
Thank you. See y'all later.